Live from the JW Marriott Grand Lakes Resort in Orlando, Florida, this is the 2024 USTFCCCA Coaches Hall of Fame. Tonight, we induct some of the best leaders in our sport into one of the most exclusive clubs in coaching. 6 legendary coaches, 1 tremendous honor. This is the 2024 USTFCCCA Coaches Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host for the evening, the longtime voice of Hayward Field and NBC Sports track and field commentator, Paul Swangard.
Good evening. You may all be seated now. Thank you. It's come to my realization after doing this now, this will be my second year, that I didn't realize that my appearance means that the bar is closed. And I'm feeling like I'm in a difficult position here because the bar is now closed. But we're going to try to make this event as enjoyable as possible and really celebrate the coaches here that have put their heart and soul into this sport that we love and will be honored here as part of our Hall of Fame class of 2024. We also want to welcome many family members, former athletes, former staff members of these coaches who are watching live on the web stream at runnerspace.com, and really a celebration of the sport tonight, part of many celebrations here throughout the week, including the Bowerman Award on Thursday night. Before we get into the program, you might remember about an hour ago, we recognized members of former Hall of Fame classes who were in the room. Sam Seams has given me an updated list, and I was so impressed by the rhythmic clapping that you did, I thought we could try that again. We're not going to ask the group here to stand and be recognized, but I just want to roll through and recognize all of our Hall of Famers who are in the room, and the clapping will be appreciated. From the class of 2004, Pat Henry. From the class of 2005, George Williams. From the class of 2007, Cyrus Jones. From the class of 2008, Kim Deist. From the class of 2014, Lance Harder. From the class of 2016, Mike Holloway. From the class of 2017, Amy Deem and Jack Hazen. From the class of 2018, Ron Mann and Damon Martin. From the class of 2021, John Moon and Dennis Shaver. From the class of 2022, Halston Taylor. And from the class of 2023, Wes Kitley and Victor Thomas. Big round of applause for all of those folks for being in the room. Just need Willie Banks, and we'd be ready for a rock and roll show on the runway. All right, so that was part one of things to get started. For those of you who were with us in Denver last year, or maybe not in Denver, have been part of our previous Hall of Fame festivities, we moved to a slightly different format last year, and it is a format we're using also for the Athletes Hall of Fame that has been held in Eugene in conjunction mainly with the NCAA Championship. So more of a interview format. We'll show a short video for each of our 6 inductees and really just afford them the opportunity to have a conversation. You'll learn a little bit more about them and their opportunity to share their thoughts on this very important day. We'll hopefully keep it light and keep it moving. And with that, I want to also welcome back to the stage President of the USTFCCCA, Carol Smith-Gilbert, who will be doing the honors of our initial part of the program. We'll bring all of our honorees up, and they will receive their Hall of Fame medal, and then we'll get to the one-by-one introductions here in a moment. So I'm going to slide over here, and let's first welcome to the stage Dave Cianelli. Representing the late Jud Logan, his son, Nate Logan. Ford Mastin. Next up, Frank Gramarosso. Representing the late Ron Helmer, his wife Becky. And our final inductee tonight, Connie Price-Smith. "223 members of this esteemed class of the Hall of Fame, representing 176 institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2024. And with that, let's learn a little bit more about our first inductee.
Virginia Tech's Dave Cianelli didn't plan on becoming a college coach. Chances are he never expected to have a university track named for him either. It's funny how things turn out when you're good at what you do. Cianelli admits he initially got into coaching as a young man merely to make ends meet. During assistant coaching stints, first at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, then at SMU, it was obvious he had found his calling. When Cianelli took the head coaching reins at Virginia Tech in 2001, he had a plan, a workmanlike, step-by-step guide on how he wanted to build the programs. It's fair to say Cianelli's plan worked. Under his watch, Virginia Tech won 22 conference titles, and the Hokies finished in the top 10 of the team standings 13 times at NCAA championship meets. Cianelli was named ACC Coach of the Year 20 times. His program swept the team titles at the ACC Indoor Championships in 2023, and then the women made it back-to-back crowns in 2024. Cianelli's legacy as one of the sport's most influential coaches is also marked by numerous national and conference champions, All-Americans, and Olympians. He even coached Queen Harrison, the 2010 winner of the Bowerman. Following a storied 23-year career in Blacksburg, Virginia Tech's indoor track has been renamed the Dave and Ellen Cianelli Track in honor of the numerous contributions made to the program by the legendary coach and his wife. Tonight, we salute his success as we welcome Dave Cianelli to the Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Carol. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a seat for you. You know, a 2-minute video doesn't capture a career, but it does a nice job, I think, of kind of framing your story. And, you know, we were talking earlier in the day about, you know, stops along the way that certainly served you in your coaching development. But you also started kind of doing odd jobs just to make ends meet. You kind of were a hustler from the beginning. Can you just talk about kind of those steps that took to get the road started?
Yeah, well, this is really for a lot of the young coaches out there. I started off at the high school level in California. There weren't any teaching positions at the school I was at, so I was just coaching, so I needed to pay bills. I did everything and anything. I ran a crab boat for a while. I hauled people's trash to the dump, $20 a load. Trim trees. I'd do anything. And but you know, I was dedicated to want to be able to stay with coaching, and so that's what you have to do.
And once you kind of got the rhythm of, you know, being able to say I'm a coach full time, what were the what were the key moments in the sort of the early stages there to get the breaks you needed?
Well, I was fortunate that Lance Harder gave me an opportunity at Cal Poly to come up and be his assistant. I was still an unpaid assistant at that point, but that was fine.
Way to go, Lance.
It was a great program, and then after 4 years there with him, I was fortunate enough to be able to go to SMU under Dave Wallman, and that was my first paycheck as a coach. So it took a while to get to that point, but you just have to persevere.
And persevere you did, and then, Virginia Tech really becomes the place that you make a name for yourself. And just, talk about what was the plan going in? What did you feel like you needed to do to put it in a position to be the program you wanted it to be?
Yeah, that was a long haul. Going in initially, we were in the Big East. They had just gotten in the Big East Conference. And then 3 years later, the ACC. The program wasn't fully funded initially, and it took a while to get there. But once we did, the women first, we were able to kind of make our mark. Queen and Christy Castle's class really kind of turned the corner for us there. They came in 06, and then the men kind of started making their mark at the conference level in 09. And I was really proud that we were consistent. We were able to be kind of a contender, each year, and not just, 1 year and then off the map.
Well, it also requires both support from the institution, but as well, building a good staff.
Incredible. I mean, I was so blessed to have great assistant coaches that I could just really release and let them do their thing. And, I could sit back and just kind of oversee the program, but they were doing the work in the trenches, so to speak. So without those coaches, there's no way we would have the success that we had, or would I be on the stage at this time. So all those assistant coaches that through the years, and some are here tonight, that helped me and build our program. And the athletes, obviously, them going out and getting the right athlete and developing those athletes. And as the head coach, we get the credit, but a lot of times it's the assistant that's really put in the sweat and hard work with their athletes to develop them.
Yeah, sacrifices also made by the family that surrounds you, right? A lot of long days, a lot of long trips, and now you get to share this moment with your family, including your wife, but you also share a track with her as well. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was great when they called us and said that they were going to name the track after Ellen and myself. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I thought, okay, I'm going to get a little plaque somewhere, but they did a nice job and put us, big letters in the back. And but yeah, Ellen's been there, every step of the way, and so I was really happy that they included her.
Well, I know you've probably been reflecting on things you might say when given an afforded opportunity to accept an honor such as a Hall of Fame induction. Who do you want to specifically thank?
Well, my family, number one, God, number one, for really guiding me through this journey. He has his plan, and it's unknown to us. And so that's really, been a big part of my life, certainly in the last 6 years. And then my family, my wife Ellen, my daughter Mariah, my son Sebastian. So, they've been supporting me along the way, and I just really been blessed. And, now that I'm retired from coaching, I don't necessarily miss some of the day-to-day things, but I miss the relationships, that you build with assistant coaches and athletes and so forth. For me, it was the right time to, move on to something else and let someone else take over the reins,
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room that if they hadn't had a chance to congratulate you yet, will come up and do that. And Queen's going to be part of the Bowerman ceremony on Thursday night, so she'll be here and a part of that. And certainly, as you said, one of the catalysts for really getting you sort of visibility. And those athletes are ultimately the reflection of good hard work by the coaching staff. So, congratulations to you. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Paul.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Dave Cianelli.
Thank you.
Yeah. Dave has decided to exit. He was going to wait till the lights went down, but that's okay. We're on a roll. Next inductee.
Jud Logan always implored his student athletes at Ashland University to find their light giver. Someone who can shine a brighter light on you than you can shine on yourself. Logan's athletes will tell you he was their light giver. Logan was an elite athlete who became an elite coach. A four-time Olympian, he tapped into his experiences competing on the world's biggest stage to guide his programs to success. A stickler for technique, Logan also led by example. He made his fourth Olympic team in the hammer throw in 2004 while serving as an assistant coach at Ashland. By then, he had already mentored athletes to 23 NCAA Division II titles in throwing events. Logan also led by his words, motivating his programs to even higher peaks after he assumed the head coaching reins at Ashland the following year. With Logan at the helm of the program, the Ashland men swept the Division II indoor and outdoor national team titles in 2019 and were national champions indoors again in 2021. Eagles athletes claimed a total of 77 individual national titles under his mentorship, while they excelled in the classroom too. Logan's programs were named USTFCCCA Scholar Teams of the Year 7 times. Today, the Ashland University Jud Logan Light Giver Collegiate Open is held in his honor as a testament to the man whose light shined brightly on collegiate track and field. Tonight, the spotlight is on Jud Logan's legacy as he enters the Hall of Fame.
Accepting this award on behalf of the Logan family, his son, Nate Logan.
So glad you're here, and so glad this is happening for you guys tonight. And yeah, it's hard not to be emotional for those of us who knew him and had a chance to be around him. And the hammer throw circuit always came through Eugene, and it was always him front and center. Where do we start with just kind of what a huge force he was, both in the lives of his student athletes, but just what he was able to accomplish in his time?
Yeah, I mean, being here this week and seeing so many of his former athletes, his coaching tree that has now expanded across the country, from athletes that were at Ashland under his tutelage to now leading their own programs. I mean, that really was his legacy and continues to be his legacy. You're right, it is emotional. I wish I wasn't up here.
You and me both.
I wish.
On the heels of us visiting a little bit this afternoon, I reached out to Katie Moon, who I know really well, and got on the phone with her for just about 10, 15 minutes today. And I said, how do you, as an athlete, kind of put it in perspective of what he meant? And one of the things that struck me in the conversation was that he had an amazing presence, that when he would walk into the field house, she said she could feel the mood change with the athletes having him in the building. Can you understand what she's saying there, and maybe you kind of expand on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, he's dad, right?
Yeah.
So but when I see him walk into a field house at a track meet, I mean, he commands attention. And that came from his father, who was always the biggest man in the room when he walked in, and he just continued that. And it's so great to see everyone here again this week and get reminders of just how special he was.
Yeah, and she also remarked it was impressive to her that he had built such credibility across event groups, right? Here's a guy who's got, his name is sort of cemented around a specific event, and he's cheering on pole vaulters and getting the Trevor Bassett's of the world all the way to, to major global championships. Do you think there was sort of an innate ability for him to get outside of his comfort zone and try to learn and employ those same tools that got him to the best part of his professional career, but did it in different events?
Yeah, I mean, even before a coach, he was a teacher, and he was a leader of men and women. He had an innate ability to connect on a personal level to so many, and I never minded sharing him with his kids, because every athlete that he coached, he was a parent to them, and whether it was the technique or not, in the throws, and in all the other events like you mentioned, he built a culture, and that's really what carried the team to those national championships and those Ashland athletes on to greater heights.
Was it, I mean, you said, he was dad first, but you had to kind of share him with the rest of the team. Was that hard for you, or was it a sense of pride to see him be able to do what he did with those other folks?
No, it wasn't hard. I mean, from a young age, he was coaching me through Pee Wee football all the way up through my senior year, winning the decathlon at my conference championships at Ashland. So I've seen it my whole life, and I've seen his ability to affect others and be that light that shines greater than what they can see for themselves, which is something he felt really strongly about, was being a light giver. So I wanted to see that happen to as many people as possible.
And maybe for those who never had a chance to meet Jud, and you're thinking about his legacy, and obviously this Hall of Fame thing, just one piece of a bigger puzzle that made him such a remarkable person. What are the things that you'd want people to sort of truly appreciate and understand here tonight?
Like I mentioned, there is a bigger picture for each and every one of you. I never had the trait to be a coach. I was always jealous of it. I know everybody in this room who's a coach shares that trait, and it's special. It takes a special type of person to pour that amount of effort into athletes and to see the end result. And that was really the process that he loved, not just on an athletic level, an academic level, but a personal level as well. And to see that was really special. So that's the type of person he was, and that's the type of person that me and my family would like him to be remembered as. And
the university really trying to keep that legacy alive. We saw the the naming of the meet, but just his spirit is alive and well at Ashland.
Absolutely. He's still big man on campus. He's you walk around and everybody knows Jud. And I am an AU graduate myself. I met my wife there. And it's cool to see that AU has continued to honor him and elevate his legacy through the meet and different opportunities that we've had. It's great to see so many former of my teammates, so many of the AU current coaching staff that made the trip down here, especially for this event, to help honor my dad, and I greatly appreciate that.
And on behalf of your dad, just who would he want to be thanking tonight?
My mom, Jill, his wife of over 40 years, is here with us, and she was really the rock that allowed him to not only compete through his Olympic career and traveling to over 100 countries as a hammer thrower in his 20-plus year athletic career, but also fed the athletes on Sundays and was able to allow him to be who he was and kind of always stayed in the background, but was the most important part of his journey, and he would tell you that too. Yeah. Well, it's just such a great, for me personally, just great to be part of this particular night and this particular person. And I know, for your family, I know this must be both a proud but also a hard day. And I appreciate you, kind of giving us your time and sharing that story. And I think for those who don't know, Jud's story, I encourage you to go reach out to him. And if you're ever in an opportunity, as I was with, I think Trevor Bassett and I were stuck in a United Club room on our way back from Budapest, and we just started talking about Jud, and those people who are connected to him just espouse all the things that I think he instilled in those kids and are going to be a fitting and lasting legacy to him. So congratulations to you and your family. So. Thank you. Now he plays by the rules. You stay seated. She told me to wait till the lights went down. You are trainable. I appreciate it. Let's move on to our next honoree.
Truth be told, coaching wasn't in Ford Mastin's plans after he obtained a degree in music education from Oklahoma Baptist University, but coaching ultimately found him, resulting in a harmonic journey. A third-generation Bison, Mastin assumed the head coaching reins at his alma mater after teaching and coaching in the high school ranks for 2 decades. Under his regime, OBU track and field would experience almost immediate success. while enjoying some of its greatest moments in program history. In his first 19 years, Mastin's teams won NAIA team titles 10 times and added 9 runner-up finishes. In 2013, his program swept the men's and women's indoor crowns, and both teams finished second outdoors later that spring. The Bison did it again in 2016 and 2017. Only this time, they secured all 4 team titles as the school made the transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II. And talk about dominating, the OBU women's 4x400-meter relay team became a force, laying claim to 16 of a possible 19 indoor or outdoor titles from 2005 to 2015. Under Mastin's direction, his student-athletes won 156 NAIA indoor or outdoor individual or relay titles, while earning over 1,300 All-America honors. He also inspired several of his former athletes to become coaches themselves. While Mastin might not have intended to join the profession, the multi-time National Coach of the Year orchestrated some of the greatest moments in NAIA and NCAA Division II history. Tonight, we welcome Ford Mastin into the Hall of Fame.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, when you and I were chatting this afternoon, we kind of sort of centered around, I'm a college teacher when I'm not trying to mispronounce names around the world, and your background was in teaching before you kind of got full on into coaching. What is it about the art of teaching that you were drawn to so early, and maybe let's start there.
After graduating from OBU, I went to seminary to be a missionary. And while I was there, I coached at TCU, assistant, but I just had a special calling that really kids in America, and especially in public school, that's a mission field. And so for 14 years, I was at a high school in Oklahoma, and a lot of great things happened. And I just felt God's presence. And when I was able to get the job at Oklahoma Baptist, it was a little bit of a feeling like I can go and multiply what's happening at this high school. Because if these kids will go and maybe they'll be a coach or a teacher, it extends what was happening. So at this year's state meet in Oklahoma, I counted 13 former OBU athletes coaching at the high school that was at the state meet. It was just a wonderful feeling that happened.
And it's proven to be a successful rinse and repeat for your career, and OBU kind of the center of that, a lot of connection to you, and the legacies to your families. For those who don't know anything about the institution, be their spokesperson here for a moment.
It's a little school with big things that happen, and one of the athletes here tonight that came to be with me is Kamika Witter from Jamaica, and just having Mark Elliott at LSU and Clemson helped with a lot of people to make it here with us, and we had enough firepower that everywhere we went, something special happened, and it was just a lot of fun. There was, with all that going on, the most important thing to me was that kids were exposed to good character, would want it themselves. And if you don't mind me telling you one story about how this really happened, we're at the national meet, and Thursday night there's prelims for the relays, and I had 2 subs on our distance medley. Needed to qualify for the finals on Saturday, and first leg went okay, second leg went okay, third leg we're right there in a big pack. There's like 8 runners within 5 meters going around the first turn. And our 800 reader, which was a sub, was in a spill. Guys went everywhere. Batons were clanging and going everywhere. And it was like, I watched our guy run to about lane 5 and get a baton. He took that baton to our rival handed it to him. Went back, found his baton, and by that time, everyone's gone, and he took off, and we were hoping he'd catch somebody, but we didn't qualify for that. And my first thought was, get a baton and run! And the second thought was, how many guys would have done that? How many guys would have done that? I didn't know what to tell the team because they were very disappointed. We're trying to win the national title, and we just lost somewhere between 6 or 10 points. And one guy wanted to say something at the team meeting, and he said, Ryan, we want you to know it's more important what the people in the stands will remember about us than winning this meet. I didn't have to say anything. And so the character was happening. It was really great. And another thing that was important is that we were going to develop a family where people cared about each other. You know, I need a ride, I need this, someone needs to take me to the doctor, and people would just help each other. And I saw this family develop. But the best picture of this family, and all the cross-country coaches in this room know this, we're trying to go to the national meet, and we're trying to figure out, we knew we were going to make it, but we were trying to figure out who the seventh runner was going to be. And there was a lot of competition for that seventh spot, who was going to get a plane ticket and go to the national meet. And these two girls had just traded places all year long. And I thought, I don't know which one's going to be that person. I hadn't even turned in the name for the ticket yet. And I knew the drama was high, and even the girls that were going to be ahead of them were concerned about what's going to happen in seventh place. We're hosting the meet, so I knew where it'll be. And so there's about 200 meters left. It's going to go uphill around a corner and down through the chute. And I'm watching these two girls run about 4 feet apart. And they're pretty up in the race. And the girl behind, the eighth girl, as she approached the seventh girl, she put her hand on her back and pushed her along, not wanting to pass her. And I thought, oh, that's too much. That's too much. And then after about 50 yards of that, the girl in front took that girl's hand and moved it to push her ahead. And that's how they finished. That's family. That's family.
And you said you're reminded about that usually about this time of year, right?
Yeah,
the mailbox gets full.
Yeah, and all those Christmas cards and the thoughts. But so the team's together, and can you take the other girl? Let's take the other girl. And so we came up with the money to get the other girl to go as an alternate. But I'm telling you, everyone here, the most important thing about what you do is make a culture that changes lives, and people want to care about each other, and someone's going to help lead each other, and everyone's going to be better for it. We're not just doing this to win. We're not just doing this to be the best. Sometimes when lives improve, everyone's better. And Kamika, would you agree with that? You were part of that. Thank you.
Well said. Just in thinking, coming into this night, you're not a stranger to Hall of Fame ceremonies. There's a laundry list of former, and I had people coming up saying, oh, he did this poem at one, and there's, and others, Drake Relay's Hall of Fame.
You saved him from that.
I did?
Tonight.
Were you going to do a poem? A soliloquy? You're doing musical theater now, I hear. Tell us about that.
Woo! Well, it was my time to try to get back with my family. We lost a lot of time doing 12-hour days from 5:40 to 7 at night. That's longer than 12. And I missed a lot of time with my kids. And so now that they're on their own, whenever one of my kids, like my son Trevor's here, and he's both acts and directs, if he's doing a play or my daughter's doing a play, I audition because I know I'm going to be with them for every night for 2 months, and it's family time again. So my wife was tremendous with help with raising them, really, because I was gone a lot. I regret that. So I had a chance to make up a little bit, and I've been doing it the last 3 or 4 years.
And when do we see you on Broadway? What's the ascent here?
Community theater is enough where I forget my lines and my son goes, not again. So Why did I put him in that spot?
So, family obviously here, just, other folks you wanted to recognize for this particular honor.
Well, I mentioned Mark Elliott, Glenn Stone, some of the guys that are gray-headed. Remember Glenn Stone? He was assistant several places, Nebraska, Eastern Junior College for years. He was an OBU Hall of Famer and coached the 5 years before I replaced him, and that was hard because here's a high school coach coming and replacing a guy that was awesome, and they got the short end of the stick. Those athletes did, and so it took a while to win them over. But Glenn Stone, we were on the phone a lot, helped me a lot. The guy that kind of got OBU was pretty bad for a while. Great in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, kind of sunk bad when I was on the team. And then Jeff Potter, who several guys in this room had him as an assistant, he got the team going and really move it again. And those guys, I could mention more, but those guys are real special. I've had wonderful assistants that also bought in and gave a lot. And I can't start to mention all their names, but there's 4 or 5 of them that are a head coach somewhere now, and 4 or 5 of them are assistants somewhere else. But that's been good to multiply the influence that way too.
Great run. And another Hall of Fame, and now a Coaches Hall of Fame, soon to be a Community Theater aspiring Hall of Famer, Ford Mastin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's check in with our next honoree.
Frank Gramarosso didn't just inherit a national championship men's program at North Central College, he helped build it. Hired as a full-time assistant by Hall of Fame coach Al Carius in 1985, Gramarosso was tasked with bolstering the track and field side of the program, as the school's cross-country program had already won 6 national titles. 4 short years later, the Cardinals claimed their first Division III National Track and Field Championship. It was a harbinger of things to come. When Gramarosso took over for Carius in 2010, even more titles followed. Under his regime, North Central would ascend the national championship podium 5 more times, including sweeping the indoor and outdoor titles in his first season at the helm of the program, followed by an indoor three-peat in 2012. North Central played host to the Division III National Indoor Championship meet in 2017 and had the home crowd cheering when the Cardinals claimed yet another title. In all, the program garnered 50 conference titles. Its student athletes claimed more than 200 All-American honors, and Gramarosso himself was named National Coach of the Year 5 times. During his 39-year tenure at North Central, the man affectionately called Grammy helped develop one of the most dominant track and field and cross-country programs in Division III history. Tonight, Frank Gramorosso's legacy continues as an inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Frank. Thank you. Well, we could probably do a whole show on your relationship with Coach Carius, but how do you encapsulate
39 years?
Yeah, I mean, it is.
How much time?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of time, but where would you like to reflect on?
You know, I owe my career to him. I was a high school coach, but he lured me to North Central College, and the rest is history. I mean, we had a great run, and it's hard to explain. You know, there's people here that can tell the same stories, but what a ride it was.
And you were set up for success in that all he had accomplished, but you now take over the reins, and you obviously want to sustain that success, but I suppose try to put your own stamp on it. So what was that adjustment period like, and how did you take sort of a managed approach to that evolution?
It was easy because we finished each other's sentences.
Oh, okay.
We knew what was going on in each other's head, and it was easy.
And
hard work,
yeah,
but easy. You know, our goal was never to win the trophies. Our goal was to build winners in life, and the trophies and the guys who are with us, who are here, they heard it 1,000 times. It's not the medals, it's not the trophies, it's the relationships you build. And it's just validates, those trophy validates that we did the right way, the right things.
Yeah, having both is better, though.
Both is better.
Yeah. Any moment in your sort of early time when you had the reins in full control that you felt like it was kind of your program now?
Well, we bounced off of each other, and probably as an assistant coach, one of the highlights of my career when I was coaching the sprinters was the NCAA News in bold letters said, North Central sprints to the NCAA title. So that was a huge accomplishment for me and the athletes that were in my training group. And it was a joyful ride.
I'm struck in, just the conversation we've had and at all levels of the sport, the whole idea of it's more than just winning, and the development of the student athlete and that person kind of resonates through all the discussions we've had so far. What were the challenges to make that work in a program like yours? The
challenges were always recruiting and getting the right fit, getting the right people, but we always learned that it was the relationships that you're building was the most important thing, having people from the inside out become who they truly can become. And that's what we just did, and it worked together. Many people have called us, husbands and wives at the office. So we had a great run together. And it's hard to explain unless you were there. Yeah,
but it does seem like an important message to carry to this crowd as they're grappling with unprecedented change and upheaval in this sport. But that
we have choice, and I know there's changes, and there's changes constantly. But you have a choice in how you're going to deal with that change. We had a poster of a scene of a forest, and there were two paths, and we would constantly show athletes this poster and say, don't take this path because the bridge is out at the other end, but it's still your choice which way to go. And we wanted to build athletes from the inside out, and it worked.
And those relationships carry forward today?
Carry forward today. I have the best friends that I've coached in the 80s, and that's the wonderful thing about coaching, the relationships that you build and keep for a lifetime.
So who do you want to share this moment with tonight?
Well, my family, my wife Gina, who, like every coach's spouse, deserves a lot of credit.
My children, all the credit.
All the credit. My children that I had many children in 39 years at North Central College, but they put up with their dad who was a coach and came around a lot when they were younger. And my son is still on North Central College team, and it's just great to see them prosper and grow. I met my wife at North Central College, and my children, one graduated, one will graduate this spring. It's just been a joy for me to be, at that place.
Yeah, it's home, it sounds like.
It's home, it's home.
And the institution was just a key ingredient to your success as well, kind of giving you...
Well, the institution is Al Carius. That's the institution. It really is.
Yeah, well said. Well said, right? I think there's like a little splash of Frank in there somewhere.
I would think so.
Yeah, I would like to think.
And I think many of you who are here, we have 3 tables of people that are here, and they know what it's all about. And it was a life journey, and it still continues.
Well, it does continue, but now continues as everyone will now formally have to call you Mr. Hall of Famer. So our congratulations to Frank.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Two more well-deserving honorees as we get to Scott Davis would always say at Mount Sac, the penultimate inductee here at the class of 2024.
Ron Helmer's story is one of resilience and dedication. Resilience to overcome the numerous obstacles he faced in his life. Dedication to the student athletes he turned into champions. Those athletes at both Indiana and Georgetown were both loyal to their head coach. They rallied around him as he battled health issues, even securing an improbable championship that seemed straight out of a Hollywood script. Throughout it all, Helmer's devotion to his athletes did not diminish. A master coach, as Indiana's athletic director called him, Helmer served 16 years as the Hoosiers Director of Track and Field and Cross Country after 21 years at Georgetown. Under Helmer's tutelage, Georgetown and Indiana won a combined 19 conference championships in the Big East and Big Ten, respectively. His athletes claimed 10 NCAA individual titles and an amazing 265 individual conference crowns. There even was a Bowerman Award winner, Hoosier high jumper Derek Druin, who went on to Olympic glory. And the movie script championship? That would come from Helmer's 2013 Indiana cross-country team that improbably won the program's first Big Ten title in 22 years. In a race of 8 kilometers, at no point in the first 7 did it appear Indiana could win. Then the Hoosiers advanced, if fueled by an unseen force. They did it for their beloved coach, whose dedication and resiliency inspired his athletes to succeed. Tonight, we honor Ron Helmer's legacy as he joins the Hall of Fame.
Accepting this award on behalf of the Helmer family will be son-in-law Jay Arthur.
How are you doing?
Good. So when we were talking this afternoon, we got straight into the thing that makes Ron such an interesting person to interact with when he's at the track, because you really never know what he's thinking behind that sort of even keel style. He was as relaxed as they came, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't watching a meet and he was talking to an athlete, you couldn't really tell if they won, they lost, they made a mistake, or if everything just fell in place. He always very even keeled. You never saw him blow up. He was never the dance around guy. It was business.
But he did have his Ronisms, which would enable him to sort of subtly share perhaps his irritation over something, and I suppose some coaches in this room have probably can remember those.
There's people in this room that if Ron said, "You're kidding me," that usually meant something bad has happened, or the wheels have fallen off something. So,
talk about your relationship with him as you come to find a house, a family full of coaches, and you wanting to become one.
Yeah, I'm really fortunate to be part of the family, and it's incredible the amount of coaches there are in the Helmer family. I mean, brother Jim, Justin, my wife was a coach. We met as coaches, and it's truly incredible. And then that coaching tree that he has. That's the coaching family that's out there, but yeah, it's an incredibly special family. I'm very fortunate, but like the track knowledge in the family itself, like just it's unbelievable.
And if you were to describe sort of what makes his tree of coaching unique, what's the Helmer style?
Everybody that I know that is on that coaching tree, they have the same characteristics. I can't think of one coach that handles or approaches business any different. Very even keeled. There's not a lot of jumping up and down rah-rah. It's business. It's whenever something finishes, it's time to move on to the next step, the next race, the next event. So it's pretty incredible.
And he did a good job of sort of also finding talent.
Yeah, it's nice because I got to spend 15 years at Indiana watching him, and there's always the obvious recruits that the big schools will go after, but it was incredible. Ron would see things in high school kids that I don't think other people saw, and would develop it to an incredibly high level. And it was amazing that he would see those things, but it's almost like he could predict things. I mean, I can't tell you how many meets that he would mention what he thought a performance would be, and minutes later it happens. Or there's times like I didn't get some things put in place, and you'd see it, and then obviously he would fix it because he kind of knew what the fix needed to be. So yeah, that's always been pretty special, and but it didn't matter. I mean, it didn't matter if it was a high-level athlete in high school coming in or somebody that was walking on. They all had a responsibility and a job to do, and I kind of can see that in people that he's coached that are now in the ranks.
His loss is fresh in all of our minds, and sorry that he can't be here to accept in your place. But I think in the outpouring that you saw when he passed, but also reflecting on all that now that you're here to with the family accept the Hall of Fame honor, what's kind of risen to the top in terms of what people seem to appreciate about him the most?
I don't know. I mean, you still have people coming up. People, even tonight, that might not have known, but
yeah, when we share in your grief.
Guy.
I mean, we share a huge loss in this coaching community, and just want to afford you the time maybe to, on his behalf, what would you like to say to this group? And
I mean, thanks everybody. I mean, I think obviously the family. I mean, it's the family. People that help get this in place. Jessica Ridd, Chris Miltenberg, Danny Ireland. They were pretty instrumental in things. And there's a lot of people that weren't nudged, but they're supportive, like Lance Harder, Mike McGuire, Lonnie Green, Mick Burns. So there's a lot, but those are also the people that were communicating with me, and we were getting everything together to get it done. So, and obviously the family.
Yeah, well, great that you could all be here and share in this, and I know you'll get more people coming up here after this and take it all in, appreciate it, because truly is Hall of Fame career and should be celebrated tonight by everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
There's no easy pivot from that. I just couldn't tell you that we're going to move to our final inductee here now.
She was a world-class thrower, a 4-time Olympian, 25-time U.S. champion, and later an Olympic coach. So naturally, when Connie Price-Smith speaks, people listen. Just ask her student athletes at Ole Miss, where Price-Smith currently serves as head coach of the track and field program. Since assuming the reins of the program in 2015, the Rebels have ascended to unprecedented heights in school history. Price-Smith's athletes, specifically her throwers, have responded to her tutelage by leaving their mark on the collegiate record book in a big way. That includes 4 student athletes who rank in the all-time top 10 in the weight throw. One short year after Price-Smith took the helm of the program, the Ole Miss men finished 4th at the 2016 NCAA Cross-Country Championships, the best finish by a Southeastern Conference program since 2009. Then the Rebels won back-to-back SEC cross-country titles from 2018 to 2020, becoming just the second non-Arkansas program in almost 30 years to accomplish the feat. Including a head coaching stint at her alma mater, Southern Illinois, and a volunteer assistantship at Ohio State, Price-Smith has produced more than 20 NCAA event champions, while her student athletes have claimed more than 240 All-America honors and 275 event titles at conference championships, including over 75 in the SEC alone. Named the head women's coach for Team USA at the Rio Olympic Games, Price-Smith also served as the NCAA Division I track and field president from 2017 to 2019. She's highly respected among her coaching peers, as well as the numerous student athletes she propelled to success. Duly noted, Connie Price-Smith, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
About frickin' time.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. I do love some of the vintage old Hayward Field footage there. I called lots of your events over the years, so it's a pleasure to have a chance to reflect on the journey here, particularly as a coach. I do want to start by recognizing you are the 14th woman to be inducted into the College Coaches Hall of Fame.
We need more.
And I want to give a special shout out, and I don't know if you were part of this yesterday, but the Women in Coaching Seminar had well over 300 exceptionally future Hall of Fame caliber coaches here. And maybe just start there. Yeah, I mean, no question, we got to get more women in this Hall of Fame, but it's going to take some time, and I think future is bright, don't you think?
The future is bright, and it's exciting to watch all the women out there coaching and seeing where they're going and everything. So.
And you've stepped up in a leadership role. We mentioned the presidency for the association. So I mean, this is an important ingredient to your legacy as well, right? Changing the game.
Changing the game. Yep. Just try to help those that come behind you, because there were people that were in front of me that helped me get to where I am.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit in the context of Jud Logan's incredible impact at Ashland, but also his ability to take his incredible personal achievement and success and translate that. Not every coach comes from sort of Olympic caliber experience, so I mean, it's kind of nice that you and Jud share this moment in this induction class. What was it that you were able to take from that elite, personal capability and translate into to being a good coach too?
I think the biggest thing is to see how I was treated and how I wanted to be treated, and to make sure that I treated people that way and did the things for them that I wanted done for me.
Would you slam medals on the desk to make a point?
No, never.
But I'm sure that credibility, adds to some of those early wins with folks too.
Yeah, I think it did. People saw my progress and where I came from and what I did, and that it made it easier for them to believe that they could do it.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing you share with Jud is the ability to sort of step up and then manage an overall program structure where you're dealing with event groups maybe that weren't your specialty when you were, I don't know, were you a triple jumper back in the day?
No, I was actually a pole vaulter. No.
That just was jarring for a second, but I can believe it. What is the advice you give? We've got a lot of coaches here that are going to these event-specific, training sessions and trying to learn how to be the best jump or throws coach or sprint coach, but maybe have aspirations of head coaching. What are some of the pieces of advice about gaining those extra skills, and how you can take advantage of a week like this to maybe gain some of those?
Yeah, I mean, go to as many things as you can go to, talk to as many people as you can, don't be afraid to ask questions. And when you see a veteran coach around, don't be afraid to go and pick their brain. There's a lot of great coaches out there, and a lot of great coaches do things a lot differently, and they all have good advice, so don't be afraid to go and talk to them and ask them.
You're launching, this is your 10th season at Ole Miss, correct?
It is.
Yeah. You are in the midst of what a lot of the hallway conversations and even some of the stuff we heard from Sam earlier today about just sort of this incredible, challenging environment we find ourselves in. Where do you see things sitting right now? And, are you still motivated to want to stay coaching for as long as you can?
I do want to coach for as long as I can. I actually love the sport. I love what it afforded me. And I love being able to help young adults grow into older adults. And I love being around the sport, and I love being around my staff. It's a great place to work, and so I still really enjoy it. I know that there are going to be a lot of changes coming, and we just have to figure out collectively how we manage them and get through them the best way that we can.
Given this night affords you the opportunity to say thank you to people who helped get you here, who would you like to thank?
I have 3 tables over there, and
3 tables?
3 tables. Really, I need to thank my family, but I need to thank John, my husband, who I've been married to for 34 years, and he's been by my side as an athlete and as a coach, and he is always there kind of making sure that I stay motivated and have the confidence to do the things that I do. And then I have my family there, and then all of my assistant coaches. I wouldn't be up here without them. They're the ones that do all the work. I just get the credit for it. But no, you know, I have a great group. My sports admin and some of my other administrative family is over there, and it is a family. And I'm just thankful that I have the opportunity to be up here. Thanks to the nominating committee. And just congratulations to all the other nominees.
It's an exceptional class, and you're a great closer for that class as well. As you know, sixth and final round, you were always clutch, right?
Hey, you know, last throw, best throw.
Last one, best one. Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask Connie to stand, and she's going to remain up here, and we're going to bring our honorees up one more time before we end the evening and turn the paparazzi loose on this esteemed class. So again, our class of 2024, Connie Price-Smith. We'll have Ron Helmer's family come back up as well, Frank Gramarosso, Ford Mastin. Nate Logan will be joining us here as well. And Dave Cianelli. I didn't recognize him in the mustache. Ladies and gentlemen, our class of 2024. And with that, we conclude tonight's festivities. Hope you've enjoyed everything. The honorees will remain here, and if you have a chance to come by and congratulate them, that's great. My understanding is the bars have reopened elsewhere around the property, and Sam will not give out his room number the rest of the night. Thanks for being here, everybody.